Welcome, everyone. So we had two really good games yesterday in the WNBA. This was a close one. We had the close one with Indiana and Dallas. It's very entertaining to have games where teams are basically equal and they fight it out. And, all it takes is, one team shooting a little better than the other, or a key turnover, or a key missed shot. And this one, it basically came down to the fact that New York, they just outshot them, and the Sparks had a bad second quarter because it was even. It was even. Every other quarter was within 2 points. So you had the Sparks winning it first quarter, 30 points. That is a strong quarter to score 30 points or more. But New York was right behind him with 28. And then the second quarter, New York outscored the Sparks 22-14. They just had that one bad quarter. So the third quarter is 28-28, and then New York outscored the Sparks 27-25 in the fourth. And they get a 105-97 win. Very strong performance from New York because they've been playing a little iffy lately, and they've lost some games. I mean, when Stewie went down, they had 5 losses, I think, or 6, and now they're up to 11. So they've definitely been struggling a little, but they ended up with 5 players in double figures, and 3 of those players had over 20 points. So that's very good scoring. And they shot 55.9% from the floor. That's terrific. You're going to win most of the time when you shoot that well. And they were 50% from 3. They hit 14 threes. The Sparks, on the other hand, shot 46% and 29% from 3. So turnovers were pretty equal. The New York actually had more turnovers. They had 12, and the Sparks had 9. The Sparks capitalized on that. They scored 18 points off those turnovers. So it wasn't that. And they had more points in the paint, 52-40. But, New York just outshot them. I mean, they had, 14 and they had 5 more threes than the Sparks did. And that's a lot of points. That's 15 points right there. So, anyway, we had Emma Meesseman. She was your leading scorer, 24 points for New York. She had 9 rebounds. She had 2 turnovers, 4 assists. She had a block. She was 9 for 15 from the floor. She attempted 1 3-point shot, didn't make it, and she was 6 for 7 from the line. So she shot 60%. That's just terrific. She's starting to, get used to playing with the players that are around New York. So, when Breanna Stewart comes back, the people that are discounting New York, when Stewie comes back, if she's even half of herself with this lineup, they're going to be really tough. They're going to be really tough. So the other players that had 20 points on New York was Kelsey Jones and Fiebich. Both of these players played really well for New York. Fiebich had 20 points. She was 2 for 4 from 3-point land, and she was 70% from the floor, 7 for 10. She was also 4 for 4 from the foul line. She had a block, a steal, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds. Kelsey Jones, 21 points, 11 rebounds, so another double-double to Kelsey Jones' resume. She had 2 turnovers, 2 blocks, and 3 assists. She was 4 for 5 from 3 and 8 for 11 overall. That's 72% from the floor. The only place she didn't do so well was the foul line. She was 1 for 4. So, great game for all 3 of these players. And they, pretty much, even though the points in the paint weren't great, New York beat them from the outside. So then we have Sabrina Ionescu and Natasha Cloud. They rounded out the double figures for New York. Ionescu was 50% from the floor and from 3 points. She was 100% from the line. She had 6 assists. She had 3 turnovers and 3 rebounds. Cloud at 11 points. She was also 50% from the floor and 3-point land. So very high shooting percentages from New York. She was 5 for 10 from the floor. She also had 2 assists, 2 rebounds, a turnover, 2 steals. And then Maureen Johannes, she was almost in the double figures too. She had 9 points. She hit 3 threes. She was 3 for 8. And then Stephanie Talbot hit a 3. She was 1 for 4 overall. And Rebecca Gardner also hit a 3. So that rounds everything out for New York. And then we go on to the Sparks. They also had 2 players that were in double figures over 20 points. You had Hamby and Kelsey Plum. So Hamby was 8 for 15 overall. She shot really well. 8 for 15, 53%. She was 0 for 2 from 3 and 5 for 6 from the foul line. She also had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and 4 steals. She also added a block to that. And then Kelsey Plum, 26 points. She keeps putting out the scoring. That's for darn sure. She had 1 turnover, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. She was 8 for 8 from the foul line. You never want to foul her. She's going to make her foul shots. She was 2 for 5 from 3 and then 8 for 13 overall, which is 61%. So Kelsey and Dearica, they did their part. That's for sure. And then you also had Azari Stevens. She was 7 for 11 overall, 63%. She was 1 for 3 from 3 and 2 for 2 from the foul line. She had 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. So, interesting, the Sparks only had 1 block the whole game because they usually get a lot of blocks. They're very tall and athletic. Very tall and athletic. But the rest of their scoring was quite a drop-off. The only one that was close to double figures was Ray Burrell. She had 9 points. Julie Van Loo hit a couple of 3-point shots. She had 6 points. Cameron Brink had 2, but she only played 4 minutes. So there's not much you can do with that. And then Sarah Ashley Barker got in for 2 minutes. She took 2 shots. She didn't make them. She ended up having a turnover. And then Julie Alleman didn't score. She only took 3 shots, but she had 6 assists and 5 rebounds. And she had a turnover. So it was a clean game, just very high shooting percentage, and just New York just outshot them. And they get the win, 105-97. But, I mean, defensively, you just can't give up that 100 points. That's just, there's times where it's like LA, they look really good at times, but defensively they give up layups. They have, they get... And then if you, like the Valkyries have their number. And they just pack in that paint and they get lost. They only scored 57 points against the Valkyries 2 games ago. Every other game they've scored 100. You would think these other teams would kind of watch some tape on the Valkyries game. But the Valkyries have a really strong, most of the time, relentless defense. And they just are all over you when they're playing right. So New York is now 20-11 and LA drops to 15-17. So that's it for this one. We got a bunch of more games today. And we'll see how they go. So we'll see you next time.